Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss and Kristen West, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Women Want Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us for our show tonight, In the Spotlight with Your Brand. Kristen West and I co-host this amazing show, which just got onto iHeartRadio, so very exciting. And we're thrilled to have yet another platform to offer you shows on demand continually. And we want to thank all of you for listening out there, because we sure as heck wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. What Women Want Talk Radio has reached 1.5 million downloads since we first hit the airwaves. That's just so exciting. And between latalkradio.com's archives, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and now iHeartRadio, you can find us everywhere. So listen to those replays and like and share and follow us when you do. I'm broadcasting from New York, and Kristen is at our studio in LA. So we're covering the entire country from coast to coast. And tonight, we have former Fox News anchor Patricia Stark, who has built a media empire, coining the word Calmfidence, and former soap opera star Sonia Satra, who founded Moticise, her company, to let us know how being in the spotlight can be good for you if you strategize it in the right way, mind and body combination. And with the world exploding in social media and videos, we really can't help being away from the spotlight. We're always in it, it seems like. So we might as well learn how to be in it the right way. I'm thinking the mind-body connection is probably going to come into this discussion. What do you think, Kristen?
Well, certainly, because people can definitely pick up communication that's nonverbal as well. You know, you can tell when someone's nervous. You can tell when someone's happy to be somewhere. You can tell when somebody is relaxed and confident in their saying versus not relaxed and not confident or unsure. So it's very important that we, as much as we develop our ideas, we also develop the way that we communicate those ideas non-verbally. And there's definitely a bodily intelligence to communication as well that I think we often overlook.
Totally. And you sound so relaxed and confident in saying that. So, you know, I always get nervous when I have people come on the show that specialize in communication because I feel like there are so many facets to it, and we can communicate effectively or not. And it's just really a matter of, like you said, it's not all how you say it, it's body language and everything else. And I feel like even on the radio, when, you know, we can't see each other, Kristen and I know probably everybody thinks we can, we're that good, but you know, it really, I think there are a lot of things between you and I even that we pick up on with each other because we are effective communicators. Does that make sense? Yeah, no,
there's content. You know, today is Wednesday. It is 6 p.m. on the West Coast. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast. There's content, there's facts, but then there's the way that you say that. If you say it in a way that's confident, that means one thing. Yes, I'm sure it's Wednesday. It's actually correct. It's Wednesday. But then if you say it's Wednesday, you know, and there's a kind of like an upturn at the voice at the end, it's like, oh, I'm not sure if it's Wednesday or not. And and that's just a function of the voice, which is definitely a part of your body. You know, the voice itself can also add layers of meaning. It kind of betrays you in a way, whether or not what you're saying you think is real or not. And
totally. And I think the physicality, too, of when you're saying it can really take a big part in that. You know, if you're nervous and then your throat closes up and then your voice gets higher and, you know, sometimes it kind of just spins out of control.
No,
right?
Yeah. And there are people that are hand talkers. Like, you know, and I'm a hand talker, you know, I mean, there's a full, you know, 180 degrees of motion sometime when I'm
You're a body talker. I see you leaning into the camera when we were doing our Facebook Live video. It was hysterical. Yeah,
I'm a fidgeter too. I'm a consummate fidgeter, and I have to really kind of like, don't fidget.
Well, that's good to know that I'm going on video with you. I like knowing that.
I'm practicing real hard, Judy.
Sit on your hands.
But of course,
right,
you
my
know.
Background. What's that?
I was about to say, you know all about communicating with your body because you did it as a model.
Yeah, I guess so. And that is where my origin comes from. That's such a great segue, Kristen. High fashion modeling with Ford New York way back when. And after that, I went to the other side of the camera for a while and was a magazine editor, then an author with St. Martin's Press. And now I'm back in front of the camera, currently hosting my second season of a show called Behind the Gates. You can see it on AWE channel Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday evenings. I'm also a regular contributor on NBC and Fox, and an entrepreneur. I founded the company What Women Want Networking and Conference 8 years ago. We had our second annual national conference just this past October. It was absolutely phenomenal. And on top of all that, I'm a mom of twin teenagers. So interestingly busy household. And Kristen, you're an award-winning actress, producer, screenwriter, and the host of your own show, Horror Talk with Kristen West. I'm going to let you fill the rest in.
Thank you, Judy. Yeah, interesting things happening with Horror Talk with Kristen West this week. It is the talk show for the horror fan and filmmaker community. We call ourselves the Tonight Show for horror, and so we are on a little holiday break right now. But that doesn't mean that we actually stopped working. We're actually right now getting ready to roll out a new part of our show. We call it Trepidating Trinkets. And if you join us on Patreon, patreon.com/horror talk with Kristen West, once we get our first 25 Patreon patrons, we're going to start doing giveaways of horror memorabilia as part of a monthly giveaway for the show. And we're actively planning season 3 as well now, which is really exciting. And then this past week, The Spirit Room, the horror short by Adam Ung, which has already won multiple awards, just played at the Culver City International Film Festival here in LA. And I was very excited to attend that and support the film. So I've had an interesting, we're a little bit far away from Halloween now, but I still feel like I have the Halloween vibes going along.
Well, you have the Halloween vibes going on all year with your industry, that's for sure. And my company, What Women Want Networking, has an annual holiday gift guide where we showcase the most creative and high-quality products and services that are out there. And, of course, you're also supporting women-owned businesses, too. So that's a bonus. Go shop away after the show. We posted the link on our Facebook What Women Want Talk Radio page. And I'd like to give a shout out to a few of our sponsors. Katie Karlovitz is the first one, and her company On Speaking Terms. She is one of the service-based, we actually have 3 service-based companies that I'm going to shout out to tonight in our gift guide this year. And she teaches people how to be the best speaker on stage and, at smaller events as well. So thank you, Katie. And thank you to Tuckner, Sipser, Weinstock, and Sipser, advancing women's rights since 1999. They are New York women's rights in the workplace law firm, empowering women since before there were hashtags, pregnancy, sexual harassment, gender, and it's discrimination in the workplace. The consultations are free. And also one more thank you to BizTech Works, the team of women business owners just like you and I, and they understand the challenges we face. Their mission is to help small business owners make smart technology decisions while building the business of their dreams. They offer services for website development, support, SEO, cloud application, integration, all that good stuff that you really don't want to think about or do yourself. So give them a call at 404-495-3776 or visit online at biztechworks.com. So thank you, everyone, for supporting the gift guide. We also have some awesome products for some last-minute gifts for Christmas. So go into our Facebook What Women Want Talk Radio page and take a look. Okay, Patricia Stark. Patricia is a media and public speaking trainer, body language specialist, TV contributor and host, and the author of the upcoming book Calmfidence and creator of Calmfidence workshops and keynotes across the U.S. Welcome to the show, Patricia.
Great to be here. So nice to talk with both you, Judy, who I've met in person, and Kristen, who I have not met. So great to meet you via this show. It's really a pleasure to be with you both.
Thank you. Well, it's fun to have you. I've actually been wanting for you to come on for a long time. So
well,
I'm really
glad
happy
to finally be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you popping up all over the place, LinkedIn and Facebook, and your work is terrific. Please let everyone know what it is that you do.
All right, so I have quite a few years working in the media. I started out in local television in New York and then worked my way up to regional and then finally national and then international news. I've done a lot of hosting of different shows. I have done medical news anchoring and medical programming for over a decade for health and wellness, different types of shows and health news, and lots of corporate media, corporate videos, corporate types of presentation training that led to. So within the world of being in front of the camera, I started just by accident helping other people to do better in front of the camera, and started my side business probably about 10 or 11 years ago now doing that, and that led to helping people communicate in all kinds of situations, whether it was in front of the camera, for public speaking, you name it. And then I did an offshoot to become certified as a body language trainer, because as you were both speaking about in the beginning of the show, so much of our communication skills is that nonverbal element. So I kind of do it all from soup to nuts, and that now finally led to this whole Calmfidence brand, which is the blend of those two words, calm, confidence, because that seemed to really be the recurring underlying foundation of anyone trying to earn that trust in both themselves and their abilities in any kind of communication situation that they find themselves in.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not trademarking that one. That's brilliant.
Well, according to the U.S. government and the checks that they had me sign to them, I do now officially have that registered word as my property.
I know. I see that, the registered trademark. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Now, in researching you a little bit, I heard you say that you were extremely shy as a child. Now, this is hard to believe. Okay, first of all, I don't know if everyone out there has seen a photo of you, but you're absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
and
thank you.
There is not one iota of shyness about your personality or who you are or even what you do, right? Now, it's totally opposite. I'm just curious at what point you ended up doing a 180 and getting into a business that is, you couldn't get much further from being shy and being an international news anchor in front of millions of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I literally just talked about this. I was invited to be a guest lecturer at Fordham University in New York City last night, and I gave a presentation on this very topic of how I went from point A to point Z and made such a big jump of being from one extreme opposite to the other. And I appreciate your compliments, but we all have that growth and that time in our lives where we go through feeling awkward, having our own personal struggles. I grew up very quiet and reserved, and I described the situation last night in front of a class. One thing that I like to do when I speak to people, especially young people, is let them right off the bat know that I am a human being that is vulnerable, that is caring and empathetic and approachable and accepting, and I want them to be able to have that trust in me right at the beginning, because if they don't, then many times they don't hear what you have to say, or they make assumptions when you're first up there. And I tell this story about pulling my first all-nighter when I was 10 years old at my friend Katie's house, and not wanting to go to sleep because I was so terrified of being horribly embarrassed. And she had come up with a concoction to try to make me not be embarrassed by having me sleep on her bright yellow raincoat. And I do a PowerPoint about this, and I'm leading up to kind of revealing what this story was about, and it culminates with me explaining how I was a bedwetter, and I had a very serious and upsetting problem that really shook my confidence at a very young age that the doctors couldn't figure out. I couldn't figure it out. My family couldn't figure it out, and it led me into middle school, which is already a very tough time of our lives, of trying to find our confidence and worry about being judged and what others think of us. And it was one of those things that just took a real deep root in me through a very tough time of any of our development in adolescence. And that's where a lot of that stemmed from. And it took me quite a few years until I overcame that problem and went through, developing into a young woman and then finally going into high school and college and trying to find that confidence. But it took
so
a
there
really
wasn't
long time.
there wasn't one particular thing that pivoted you the other way, or it was a process you're saying that it really, that you realized after a while and then worked on, or was there something that kind of was a catalyst for you kind of getting out of
I would say it was a succession of different things. It was, getting into high school and still not being able to walk up to the lunch line and raise my hand and breaking out in a sweat. But yet I still always knew that I wanted to do that. I could remember I read this book, Catcher in the Rye, that I loved this book and I wanted to talk about it so desperately in class, and it was debilitating. I literally couldn't even open up my mouth to discuss this. And it was just, I got into college and I met who's my husband now, who really was a guy that would always build me up, and his family is very outgoing and very great communication skills, and just hanging out with them in such a supportive environment, I really started believing in myself and taking chances. And then I discovered the broadcasting classes at college, and as terrifying and painful as it was something super exciting about it, and I loved everything about it. And I literally would just throw myself into situations and force myself and feel the fear and do it until I overcame certain things. But you're right. I literally went from not being able to raise my hand or open my mouth to specifically throwing myself in situations where I would be judged and heard no a lot. And I think that was part of it. And I told another story last night about one of my first speeches in college. I was terrified getting up there, and my assignment was to talk about the stock market, and I knew nothing about it, so I did, obviously the research for it. But my father had told me this great story about where the term the bulls and the bears originated from, about how, when they fight, a bear swats down and a bull, hits up with its horns, and thus the up and down market. And I remember telling this story, and at the end of that speech, I thought that I was horrible, and I was shaking in my boots, and I had a really tough teacher. But at the end of that class, she came up to me and she was like, wow, I never knew that story before. I learned something tonight. Thank you so much. So that was a great lesson for me of realizing that it didn't matter how nervous I was, that if I gave something of value and that I helped my audience get some new information, learn something, be inspired about something, that people were forgiving if you were there to try to help them in some way. And that's one of the stories I always tell when I work with public speaking clients now. They're really terrified of it. I'm like, get yourself out of the way, be of service. Think about, how can I give value and be of service and be of help to my audience? And that works whether you're in front of the camera or in front of a room filled with people.
I love that, because I think sometimes our intention gets misplaced. And our focus gets misplaced. Oh, are they looking at me? Oh, are they judging me? Is what I'm going to have to say matter to them? And I think if you, like you said, Patricia, if you take it back to a place of service, I think it makes all the difference. So obviously you're coaching people, you do media training, you have observed others doing jobs similar to yours for a while as well. What do you think is the biggest barrier people have to achieving the confidence that you have?
The biggest barrier for people in general, or for people who put themselves in the spotlight, or both?
Both. Let's talk about both.
Yeah. I think that it is, one of the greatest gifts that I have been given coaching and training people across the board in all different levels. I've worked with famous people, beautiful models, wealthy people, athletes, you name it, fill in the blank. And when I get them in a room one-on-one where there's nobody else but us in that room, and they're putting all this pressure on themselves and maybe trying something new for the first time, or thinking that they should instantly be as good in the media or on stage as they are in their sport or in whatever the work was that they had achieved something in, they all of a sudden get what everybody gets, which is that self-doubt and that inner critic. And I've had many of them break down and cry in front of me in an environment where I make that possible for them, because that's the thing that makes us all human. Every single one of us has doubts and fears. Everyone has that inner critic, and it will never go away. But at some point, when we learn to trust ourselves and earn our confidence and our right to be somewhere, our right to have that voice, we can stop taking direction from it and stick it in its corner and be like, all right, you know what? I'll let you back out later on when I want to really critique myself and think about what I could have done better. But right now, when I have a job at hand that I have to do well to try to give value and be of service to somebody that I'm communicating with, I've got to push you out of the way right now and make them be the focus and not my own concerns about myself. And I'll tell the people, I'll say, when we get stuck in our own head and when we overthink it and everything is like, what if I sound stupid? What if I make a mistake? What if I don't look good? Blah, blah, blah. What we're really doing is being self-focused. And another name for that is being self-centered. And nobody wants to feel like, oh my God, I'm being self-centered. So if I kind of flip that switch and have them think, well, I don't want to be that. So what is a better alternative is being of service and giving value and trying to offer something as a gift to others in something that somehow can help them in their lives in some way.
I'm interested in something, because a lot of times when we think about communication and we think about, I want to give a speech to my women's club. I want to go on Facebook Live and talk about the product I'm offering or the service I'm offering. Those kind of communications are fairly benign in the sense that, you don't expect a lot of controversy. You don't expect, to have an audience that's hostile to you. But sometimes people who work certain jobs or even business owners may find themselves in a situation where they have to deal with an uncomfortable situation or an uncomfortable topic. I think of crisis PR people in particular. How do you stay calm when the situation that you have to communicate about makes you uncomfortable or is an uncomfortable topic?
Well, that's the most important time to be calm. Think about if you're getting on a plane and your airline pilot walks on the plane and looks like a nervous wreck and is pacing and saying, well, gee, I hope I can get this plane up and keep it up there for you guys and get you there safely. I don't know about you, I'm getting off that plane. So, that's the time when we really need to be able to muster it up and trust that we are going to be able to handle that situation correctly. And, really, we've seen examples in the media in so many different ways where people didn't handle that well by, not cutting to the chase, not getting right to the problem, not calling out immediately what the issue is or immediately apologizing, and just being as forthright and transparent and human as possible. People just want to see, that you are telling the truth and that you're being upfront and then you're not sugarcoating things. And as uncomfortable as it may be, don't beat around the bush. Tell it as it is. Do your best to let people know how the situation is being remedied or why it happened or how you're investigating to find out how it did happen. I think that's when you have to be really sure that you're putting your best person up there that has that calm confidence and emotional intelligence and empathy and also a sturdiness about them to be able to say, look, this is a problem, but, we are doing everything that we can to get to the root of it and to solve it. And I think that's really the main thing. Look at going back a few years when David Letterman, when that woman was coming after him and saying that, he did what he did at the time. And, rather than hiding from it, he immediately got on the air and said, look, I did this. I screwed up. This was wrong. And it cut out all of the gossip, cut down on, it deflated and put a fire out almost immediately when he went and took care of it instantaneously.
Yeah, I think sometimes people forget that I like the Letterman example, because people will, if there's a long period of silence or deflection, people will always assume the worst.
Yeah, face it head on.
Right. So, like nonverbal habits. Say someone has a bad, they're a fidgeter, or something like that. How do you work with clients on nonverbal communication?
Yeah, really trying to get them to be self-aware. I will videotape people and play things back for them. A lot of times they're not even realizing that they're doing it. And any kind of fidgetiness, any kind of self-touch, they're all self-soothing, pacifying moves, which basically are saying, I'm not comfortable in this situation. I'm trying to do something to comfort myself. And it really pays to spend some time to get a grip and get a handle on this and have that self-awareness and just relax. And again, talking about that calmfidence, that calm confidence, that's not just internally how we speak to ourselves, which affects all of our external communications, but it is in the way that we are able to be still within our own body. And those still waters run deep, and to be able to just have everything settled and let your words and your presence and your facial expressions and that calmness speak for itself. I mean, just because you are calm doesn't mean that you can't also be passionate and enthusiastic and excited about things. But it's this kind of constant calm of you just know you're in good hands with a person because you can tell that they're in good hands with themselves.
I love that. Well, Patricia, we're going to have you back on again and explore this some more, because I think we just barely opened the present that is you. I do mean
that so much. And there is a ton to talk about, and we could go off on a million offshoots here, so I'd be happy to come back anytime to discuss anything further.
Well, I would love that. I know Judy would love that. How do we keep up with you in the meantime? Tell us your website and anything that you have coming up. We'd love to connect our listeners to you.
Sure. So my website is patriciastark.com, and I just relaunched that new website, as a matter of fact, and I've got all kinds of resources and tips on there of ways to find your calm, confident stress busters, anti-anxiety things, natural foods and remedies that you can eat to kind of take the edge off of when you are getting that out-of-body experience and that nervousness, fight or flight feeling. And then I'm also having a women's confidence event that's listed on the website there that's coming up in New York City on January 19th. And then hopefully the book is going to be published in 2019, which is called Calmfidence, Put Your Inner Critic in the Corner, Communicate with Calm, Confidence, and Trust Yourself to Shine in Any Spotlight. So always trying to get out there. And on social media, Patricia Stark Communications Facebook, at Click Patricia on Twitter, and Patricia Stark Communications on Instagram. And on all those platforms, I try to post tips and tricks a couple of times a week to try to add value to my clients and hopefully future ones.
Well, thank you so much, Patricia. And I know I'm going to be looking at all of that stuff later this evening, and I'm sure our listeners will too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you both so much. I really enjoyed it, and happy holidays.
You too, Patricia. Next up is Sonia Satra. She's back. She's the celebrity fitness and mindset expert. She is the founder of Moticise, Motivational Exercise, a movement-based wellness program that combines exercise and adventure with powerful mindset tools. She is formerly the star of Guiding Light and One Life to Live. And Sonia now brings her award-winning science-based Moticise programs to conferences, gyms, businesses, and individuals around the world. And by combining movement with mindset, Sonia has helped thousands get on track to achieving their dreams. Welcome back to the show, Sonia.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's always such a great show. You guys do an amazing job, and Patricia was fantastic.
Well, thank you, and we're glad to have you back here. And I am sure your phone is ringing off the hook right now because it's the holidays and the New Year's just around the corner.
Right.
How many phones do you have ringing off the hooks?
How many? Yeah, everybody wants to restart and get it back together, right?
They do, although they're also a little hesitant. Like, well, just in another week, I don't want to stop partying quite yet. So, no, they're definitely starting to see the writing on the wall for the new year. So it is definitely a big time.
Well, if any of you are not sure about signing on with Sonia or want to wait that extra week, don't wait, because you got one life to live. Ba-dunk-dunk. Sorry.
Exactly. So follow that guiding light.
Follow that guiding light. That's Sonia Satra. So, Sonia, here's the thing about you that I just find amazing is you have 10,000 hours that you've spent in front of a camera. If anyone should know how to be in front of a camera, it's you. So what have you learned from spending 10,000 hours in front of a camera?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. I think I get a lot. I think in terms of in terms of everything that Patricia was saying, I actually agreed with everything she was saying, because I think I actually was really shy. I was held after school to speak louder, and so I definitely went through my period of time too, where I was definitely shy, and I had I also grew up with a family of intellectuals. My parents were professors. My sister was a doctor. The other was going for engineering, and acting just wasn't even at all in the zeitgeist at that point. So it truly was a bit of a mistake. I was playing tennis with my mom, and a photographer saw me and asked if I would do a local hair ad. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. And then when I got to college, I thought, well, maybe I could earn some extra money doing some modeling. But I didn't know anyone how to do this. I literally looked at the ads in the back of the New York Times, which at the time was really not the place to do it.
Got it.
A complete runaround, like, give us $10,000, we'll make you a star.
Oh no!
I didn't have the $10,000 anyway, so it didn't really much matter. But my mom, through a friend of a friend, I ended up at this Spanish agency, actually, and then they hooked me up with a commercial agency, and I'm there with my little portfolio, and they asked me to read some scripts, and they were like, wow, this is pretty good, would you like to do this? And I thought, okay. And that was how I started. In my very first commercial audition, I ended up booking, and then the third one I booked. So it was such pure beginner's luck. And it really wasn't until later when I started to audition and hear no, like every 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
No, you're not tall enough, not short enough, funny enough, talented enough, pretty enough, everything. Once I wasn't even all-American enough. I was like, really?
Oh, wow.
So, I think the way, by the time I got there, it was, it had been such a journey, and, but I think it was definitely the groundwork for everything I do now, too, because acting is such a mind-body experience. I tapped my mindset not only to get the job, but then also to play a different character. And then your body is so interrelated to how you feel, how you look, not only as a character, but also as the person trying to get the job. So I really learned so much about mind and body, and I really studied mindset to overcome the just incredible amount of projection you get.
I saw in an interview that I think I read about you that there was a quote that you said, when you align your mind, body, and emotions toward what you want, you are really unstoppable. Now, for someone who doesn't really know what that means, how do we start that aligning process? I mean, a lot of people don't really understand how that falls into place and where they can start working on that.
Yeah. I often share my story, or share my story, because after Guiding Light, I decided to leave it, because I thought, if I'm ever going to play something else, I need to leave. But when I left, I had this overwhelming fear that I was never going to work again, and I was going to lose everything. And I always say I literally embodied it, because I would walk into auditions as if I was never going to work again. And in fact, there was one audition I literally walked backwards. I took one step back for every line I was saying until I hit the back wall of the it was a small office, but still I literally rammed into the wall unconsciously. But I was just, every part of me was showing up as I'm not going to get this job. And I didn't get that job, nor did I get any other job for another 2 years.
Oh,
and it
wow.
was truly this, I did. My vision of what I was imagining of losing everything was totally coming into fruition. I was embodying this feeling of not being able to succeed, and I would walk into auditions that way. My talk was, I can't get a job, I'm never going to work, why can't I do this? Instead of, in the past, I always would envision being on TV, or making it, seeing it work out. And my self-talk was much more, well, other people can do it, why can't I? And the questions that I would ask would be, how can I do this better? What would make me, who else could I meet? Or how else could I get closer to this job? It was much more empowering, where when I was afraid, I wouldn't ask those questions. I would just be like, why can't I get a job? And you learn that what you ask, your brain will answer. So if you ask, what can I do to get better? It's like a Google. It's going to go search in your system how you can go do that better. If you ask, why can't I get a job? It's going to come up with that answer too. And so I really had this aha moment where I thought, wow, I've used all these same mindset tools to create success as I have to create my failure. I just have to shift the belief system in it and really turn that around. And that's where I really began to work on, well, now I have to start shifting my vision. So what do I want? What do I want it to look like? And then I always go into, what do you want that to feel like? And really connecting, because if you connect to the vision of that future that you really want, and then get excited about it, like really, I used to run up and down this hill, and up on the top, I would yell out, because everything I said would echo back. So I would yell out what I wanted to hear. So I'd yell out, you got the job. And then it would echo back, you got the job. And then I
Wait, where did you do this? I'm sorry. Where were you?
Sorry, this was part of my comeback after I had this realization. I was like, well, I need to change this. So I started to run up this canyon in Santa Monica, and when I got to the top, it was like literally a canyon. So whatever you would yell would echo. So I started to yell out what I wanted to hear, which was, "You got the job."
Kristen, you got to bring me there.
I know. I'm going to have to do this myself. And Sonia, I think you're so right, because whether we realize it or not, we're all actors. We're all playing roles. Some of us are playing the role of mother. We're playing the role of wife. We're playing the role of crazy girlfriend. We're playing the role of daughter. We all play roles to different people in our life. And when that role becomes too inhibiting, or it doesn't become truthful anymore, then we all have to take leaps. We all have to make shifts. And I think it's not just an actor problem, it's a people problem that you're pointing to. And what I wanted to ask you is, so you have this vibrant career in acting, and you're working with your mindset. How did you decide you wanted to jump into fitness and motivating people? How did that come about?
Well, after I turned that around, my little running up and down the mountain, I actually was doing Moticise before I even knew what Moticise was, because I would run, I would visualize, I'd ask questions, I would do my little yelling thing, and I would get emotionally engaged.
And were you just doing this like off of instinct?
Yeah. I was just like, I got to turn this around. I'm going to use every tool that I use to create my success that I've now used to create the failure. I'm now going to turn it around and recreate success. And after 2 weeks, I booked a national commercial. After 3 months, in fact, running down from that canyon, I got the call for One Life to Live.
Oh, Kristen, you really do have to take me there.
Yep. Yeah. We're going to have to go to the Magic Canyon. So, Sonia, when are you going to be in L.A.? Where are you now? Are you in New York? Are you in L.A.?
Actually, I'm going with
Sonia.
Right,
but we can
Sonia's going to take me there.
L.A.
Okay, so we're going to you and Judy are going to come here. We're going to go to do the Magic Canyon, okay?
Exactly. But I think it was so exciting that it worked that it was just, I just love when people go for their dreams. You know, I had that experience. I knew nothing about acting, but I suddenly decided I wanted to do it, and I went for it, and it worked. And then I created some failure, and then I was able to turn it around. And so I believe with every fiber of my being that it is possible. And so I was pregnant with my daughter, and I decided, I got to get a life coaching certification. I had a life coach, and I knew a lot about mindset at this point. People would always ask me, so I thought, why not get certified in it? And that was when I started. And one day running on a treadmill, I was just like, wouldn't it be great if you would use this time for all that positivity, just like I did back in that canyon years ago? And that was where I started to create the Moticise.
But there's more though to what you're offering people than Moticise. You're also a keynote speaker. You've done keynotes at conferences. You also do coaching. So how do you know when it's time for you to expand your ideas, expand your brand, take more of a spotlight in certain areas? Is that an intuitive thing for you, or when do you know that you need to move in a certain direction? Literally and figuratively.
and physically. Well, and I partially use the emotions too. So I think it's tapping into that sort of emotional or that inner guide. What is it telling you? So it is a little bit of an intuitive, but it's sort of listening to the direction of where can I stretch myself? Where do I need to step outside that comfort zone? Where do I need to how can I grow? How can I challenge myself as well as help more people? And then it's kind of following the emotional trail. If it feels good, even if it's a little scary, if it feels good, then it's usually a pretty good sign that that's a path. If you just have that icky hit in your stomach, like, listen to that, and maybe that's not the right path. But so I think it's been a combination, and putting yourself out there and seeing how it goes and seeing how you feel. But speaking for me was a beautiful bridge of coaching and acting. Scary because, I'd been trained to not look at people, and suddenly I was having to and engage in a totally different way. But I really love the energy of being live.
Okay, so tell me about your adventures, because you have adventures that you take people on, right?
I do. That was how I started. Actually, I started with some speaking, and then it really came up one day. We were trying to plan a meeting, and I was like, who likes things? Wouldn't it be more fun to go climb the wall, do a wall climb at Chelsea Piers in New York? And somebody just looked at me like, really? You think that was fun? I'm like, I love adventure. I've always done adventure. My whole life, that's been a big thing, is to, again, put myself outside the comfort zone. And so I climbed mountains. I just recently climbed Kilimanjaro, which was very exciting, but I had skydived and bungee jumped and done all these things. And I always learned these incredibly powerful lessons from it. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to combine the coaching with the adventure? And so I started these coaching workshops around a theme, and then we go and embody it, because it's so important to me that you get to feel what it feels like. So you're not just learning it intellectually, you're actually feeling it. So that's what I'm doing. We're doing an adventure. We're going to go climb the wall of your life, and get to the top. And we'll also ride the currents of your life and find balance and flow, and that will be in a kayaking. And then we're going to ride to new heights in a balloon ride, and that is going to be the adventure retreat. So it's transformational on every level.
And when is this, Sonia?
This is in February. It's February 7th through the 10th at the beautiful Savannah Resort just outside of Phoenix in Arizona. So it's really a huge way to step outside your comfort zone, really learn who you are, what you want, get clarity, get vision, and go embody it.
It sounds dreamy. Now, how do you pick what adventures that everyone will go on?
Well, what everyone will go on.
Well, I mean, how do you pick? You said there's a balloon ride and a kayaking trip, and how do you pick what people are going to do during that? Is it a weekend?
It's a week. You come Thursday night and you leave on Sunday. I picked them by theme. I wanted the rock climbing and rappelling because I think a wall and climbing a wall it works very well thematically. So we're going to do a big workshop ahead of time around what's the wall in the way of your life and how can you reach the top of it? Like what's blocking you, what's standing in the way, and what's the vision at the top? And then we'll go do that. So I chose that specifically because it has a very almost literal, tangible feel to the theme of what we're doing. And the kayaking is a little more water-oriented. There's a little more flow. So how can you find that flow? How can you find that balance within that vision that you have for yourself? And then let's go out there and experience it. And the balloon ride.
I'm getting this whole Moticise theme going on here.
Yeah, so there's
you're working out the mind
that goes with the movement.
Right,
exactly.
And then you're working them out with the movement. Ooh, I love
that. So that you really get it. You get it in your, not just in your mind, but in your body, and hence you will also then emotionally connect to it, and then you become unstoppable. And it was just too cool. And it's really about rising to new heights. What does that look like for yourself in your life? And how do you want that? How do you want to embody that? How do you want that vision to play out in your life? And how can we make that a reality?
Well, I know we were so close to getting you at our What Women Want National Conference.
Yes, I know.
And it didn't work out. And it really sounds like, no pun intended here, that you are really aligned, with what we're about too, and taking it to, even higher levels. Again, no pun intended, with the physical exercise and the whole mind-body concept. I love that whole Moticise. I love the word Moticise that you coined. So tell me about your website and where we can find out more about this incredible retreat that's coming up in a few months that people can sign up for.
Yeah. Well, my site is Moticise, Moticise, and you can find out about the retreat there as well. It's going through Retreats Unlimited, and it's February 7th through the 10th in Phoenix, Arizona.
You faded out a little bit, but February 7th through the 10th, you said?
February 7th through the 10th, yes, just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. And all of that information is also on my site at moticise.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I also have a Twitter chat Tuesdays at 11 a.m. It's a hashtag Better Life chat. So we also do some coaching and talking around how you can create a hashtag Better Life.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But yes, if you want to go embody and have a lifetime memorable experience, come to the adventure. It's going to be really fun and really transformational.
Well, it certainly sounds like it. And with someone you leading it, I'm sure everyone will get so much out of it. Mind, body, spirit, and everything all the way around. So congratulations. And thank you so much for coming on the show, Sonia. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
You too, and happy holidays. So moticise.com. Everyone who's listening, go up there and sign up for that retreat because it does sound incredible. And also next week, we have serial social entrepreneur Mickey Agrawal, who is named one of the top 2017 Young Global Leaders by World Economic Forum, Inc. magazine's Most Impressive Women Entrepreneurs of 2016, and Forbes' Top 20 Millennials on a Mission. And Cheryl Benton, founder of 3 Tomatoes, and author of the best-selling book, Do You See Us Now? I think, Kristen, we're going to have another generational show next week. Our last one was such a hit, and I think we haven't really done one until since I've really found you, right? So that's kind of cool that we're going to do that again. And So everyone else, don't miss even one show. Go to whatwomenwantradio.com for more, and we shall see you next week. Good night, everyone.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss and Kristen West, only on LA Talk Radio.